Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Press for Truth TV. Thanks for joining me once again. Today we're going to be speaking with Christopher Porter, who is the leader of the Canadian Action Party, and he is currently running for the Toronto Danforth riding, going for that coveted seat of the late Jack Layton of the NDP. So Christopher, thank you so much for joining us here at Press for Truth TV.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it and always enjoy watching your stuff.
Excellent. Well, it's really great to have you on. For some of the viewers here at Press for Truth who might not be all that familiar with the Canadian Action Party, why don't you just start us off by telling us a little bit about who you are and what is the Canadian Action Party?
The Canadian Action Party was started in 1997, and it started with ex-Deputy Prime Minister who could see that Canadian sovereignty was getting diluted and the direction that we were heading was not good for the country. I myself got involved 2 years ago after watching a small South Pacific nation get taken over for their resources, and watched the World Bank moved in, watched the Asian Development Bank moved in, and just watched this globalist approach on taking over a nation, and was shocked and alarmed when I came back to Canada and saw how far ingrained it's in this great nation of ours. And I couldn't sit back and be quiet, and I couldn't sit back and do nothing, and got involved politically, found the Canadian Action Party, believe in its cause, believe it's the best party for Canadian sovereignty, and now leading the party.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And as you mentioned, the Canadian Action Party is largely about moving away from these globalization aspects and bringing things like the Bank of Canada and the issuance of currency back into the power and the hands and the control of the Canadian people. That's one of the things I really like about what you guys are doing, is the idea of monetary reform. So why don't you break down a little bit for us about what exactly the problems are today with the Bank of Canada, and what does the Canadian Action Party seek to change there to make it better?
Well, many Canadians don't realize that we still own a bank. We own the Bank of Canada. It's nationalized for us. It was nationalized on August 15th, 1938 by a very progressive Prime Minister, William Lyon Mackenzie King, who had the knowledge and the insight that if you don't control your currency, you don't control the decisions in your country. And the Bank of Canada was utilized to get us through the Depression, the Second World War, built the Trans-Canada Highway, built our healthcare system, the St. Lawrence Seaway. And we used it up till 1974, and the Bank of International Settlements and some World Trade Organizations decided to influence the politicians that it was unfair competition for Canada to control its currency, because we are one of the few nations that actually have a nationalized bank, and convinced the politicians at the time that it would be more in our best interest to follow this globalist money lending system through private banking institutions, to the point where our debt from 1974 till now is skyrocketed 3,000%, and we're paying $170 million of interest each and every day on compound interest for this debt. It's insanity. Since the 70s to now, what have we really done for this country? What great things have we built? Like I said, we built the Trans-Canada Highway with the Bank of Canada, and since we've moved away from it, I really can't see what great things we have done to ensure that we leave a legacy behind for future generations, and that's the biggest shame. So Canadians need to understand that we own the Bank of Canada, and we can go back to using it. They're starting to talk about diluting the Bank of Canada Act. They're starting to talk about changing it. This is all related with the IMF and the World Bank, and heading to a central bank system that's held outside the international borders. But we still have it, and we still need to fight for it. It's very important. Any nation that controls its currency controls its power and its democracy, and we must ensure that remains in the hands of Canadians.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and there's certainly no doubt that since 1974 we've been on a downward spiral here in Canada. Things haven't been getting better. Are you familiar at all with the case that's going on with Comer that was recently launched against the Bank of Canada to restore it to how it was pre-1974? Is there any? What's the latest developments with that case that you're aware of?
I actually just had a function with that William Krem attended, and we cut a cake celebrating the Bank of Canada, and he gave us an update. It's still in the process, you know, it's the federal court system, so it's a long drawn out process. But what's exciting is that that organization has taken on the government and has taken on the Bank of Canada governor and said, you know what, you're not doing it in the best interest of Canadians. And that's what it comes down to. It's the decisions being made at the government level and the banking level is not in the best interest of Canadians. It's in the best interest of the global interests to try to circumvent our laws and our sovereignty in order to gain a foothold of this great country. Canada has huge resources. We can be self-sustainable. And we're not being self-sustainable. We're sending our resources overseas. We're not manufacturing products here, and now we're not even managing our own money. It's shameful, and it's time that it gets rectified, and that's what the Canadian Action Party is all about.
Well, speaking of some of those developments, another thing that is very troubling to Canadians currently is this current push towards a European Union-styled kind of North American Union. So what's your views on this current agenda to kind of bring Canada, U.S., and Mexico more closely in line, which may lead to this eventual North American Union? What's your thoughts on that?
Canada needs to be a separate nation, and we're going to fight forever for that. And I've traveled the world, and I remember a time when Canadians could travel and watch Americans and other countrymen put Canadian flags on their bags because it allowed them better access into these countries, and people viewed Canada as the world's best friend. And any integration with the United States is not in our best interest. And I was shocked to see how many people at the university. I took my 12-year-old daughter, and we went to the university and started asking students, what do you think about sovereignty? And shocked at how many people didn't even understand what sovereignty meant. And then we asked, what do you think about integration with the United States? This was last year before the deal was signed, when they were looking for public input on that. And my daughter and I went out and asked them, and people were saying, oh, I think it would be great. You know, the United States has more money. The United States has more opportunity for us. And it's shocking, you know, and it's Canada needs to remain separate, and we have to fight any type of union structure. I was very fortunate to be at the Corfu, Greece, when the European Union first was formed. I was there on a separate matter, but saw all the dignitaries meet and start talking about it. I lived in Italy when the euro was introduced and watched, and look what's happened. Look what's happened to Greece. Look what happened to Italy. These are two countries I was in that were right at the forefront of the union amalgamation of the world. And now these two countries are devastated and so far in debt that they're at the mercy of global interests. And that's what the integration's about. It's about changing our laws and changing our sovereignty. So we need to stop it, and Canadian Action Party has very clear abrogation policies on free trade agreements.
Well, you know, that is exactly why awareness is still key at this point. Like you said, it's surprising sometimes how so many Canadians are just not aware of some of these things that are going on. And you've been very busy lately on your campaign to try to bring awareness of these issues to Canadians. And recently you were invited on to TVO with Steve Paikin. Now, I know they didn't allow you to take part in the televised debate, I guess because technically you don't have a seat yet, but they managed to bring you on. And so what are your thoughts on that? How did that interview go?
Well, awareness programs like yourself are helping to make the difference, you know, and what it's exciting to see is political activism actually getting political as well and getting involved in the system. I'm a firm believer that we have this mess because we're not participating enough in our political system. 40% of the population is not voting. But programs like yourselves and are making headway, and to be on TVO by ourselves, having an exclusive interview, talking about sovereignty issues, talking about the Bank of Canada, is breakthrough. In the last general election, I was 3 times on a major mainstream talk show host program back west talking about the Bank of Canada. because the mainstream is, they're hearing it. The message is getting louder and louder, and people are calling in and asking about it. So it's working. Awareness still needs to occur, and it will occur, and we need to escalate it to action. And to be active, you have to participate in your democracy, because if you don't participate, you're either speculating or spectating. And unfortunately, there's a lot of speculators of Canada waiting to take advantage of this great country. So we need to stop spectating and getting involved. And I'm excited because I see a surge. I see a surge of the youth, and I'm with my own children, and I see Canadians, when they find us, they say, wow, I've been looking for you guys for a long time. I never knew there was a party like yours. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it is. It is exciting to see that these things are picking up, and people are beginning to try to get more active. Just like we saw on the weekend, where I actually first had a chance to meet you at the rally for the Robocalls scandal. So I'm curious to get your take on this whole situation with the robocalls and the current state of our democracy here in Canada, because our elections appear to have been stolen from the Canadian people. What's your take on that?
Well, it definitely, I partly blame the population that's not participating. And, we have to recognize that this is designed. Robocalls are designed to get people even more apathetic. It's designed to get people to get discouraged with the system and run away from it. And they're going to continue playing these games, and to the point where no one votes anymore, and we end up with a regime. So, we need to get active here. It's important that we march in the streets, and it's important that we inform our government that this is unfair. But we have to make sure that we start targeting these people that aren't participating. And today a woman came into the office and said, I'm tired of voting, but I know it's important to vote, and I don't want to waste a vote. And she understood our message, that it's not a waste of a vote for voting for us, because the more numbers that we start showing, the louder the voice will get. And just like awareness with shows like yourselves, everyone starts with 1 or 2 viewers, and at the end of it you have thousands, and that's what it has to be with our democracy as well. We can't let them keep diluting our democracy, and need to stand up for it. But we need to start working on more hard campaigns to start voting for what we need in this country. We can't keep worrying about strategic voting, can't get caught up in their game. We have to start voting for what we need in. And I challenge people to look into the Canadian Action Party, challenge you to get in touch with me if you're doubtful of our intentions, and just talk about it. That's what we need, and there's a lot of us gaining ground here, and it's going to change.
Indeed, we do have to keep this momentum going, and I would encourage people to definitely check out yourself in the Canadian Action Party. For people who are interested in learning more about yourself and the party, and who might want to get involved, where can they go? What's the website? Where can people go to learn more about your party?
About the party, you can look at actionparty.ca, actionparty.ca. And during this campaign and during all our elections, we run a website, votecap.ca, vote CAP, votecap.ca. And all my contact information is there. I make sure that I take the time to talk with people that are interested to learn about it. My phone number is listed there as well, and drop me a message and I'll get back in touch with you. Participation is the key. If we give up, it's going to be over. So we need to all participate, and I encourage you to come and learn more about us.
Awesome. Yeah, fantastic, man. Thanks so much for speaking with us today, and best of luck in the rest of your campaign, and this Monday. I hope that it works out for you and you manage to get a seat. That would be fantastic. So best of luck with that. Thanks for talking to us again, and we'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Dan. Always an honor.
Okay, take care.
Cheers.